Let me get this straight. You blew up a building.
2 CIs and the CEO of 22andU.
2 competing federal agencies with the same mission.
I don't understand why those Fed a-holes are so darn mean.
To protect the public from the scourge of dangerous misinformation.
You know those bum idiots. This is all them. We had a solid case.
The word entrapment, not even in their vocabulary.
The explosives we provided were fake.
Sworn to a duty to always tell the truth.
We have no indication at this time that this was a deliberate act.
We're all being transferred.
To where?
The only place currently with openings. Alaska.
Good morning.
Welcome to the office, huh?
And we got the retro feel. You know, the funny about federal buildings, they're all different, but they're still somehow all the same.
Oh, good morning, Agent Walker. At the coffee station. We actually drew straws before he got here, and I won, so we get to work together.
Let's get started. Let's see if we can't stir something up.
Let's give it a minute. I like to warm up the truth muscles, a little coffee beforehand.
Well, what do you want to do first?
What do we have for a surveillance van?
Oh, wow. I got a Ford Explorer. We don't have a surveillance van.
Do you put many cases here?
Cases?
Yeah, cases. We're the tip of the spear when it comes to protecting American democracy.
You really believe this? You really believe that people posting crap online is going to cause our country to crumble?
I think the work that we do is important.
We don't have a surveillance van.
Me and some people got one. We've never needed one.
We need a surveillance van. We need a big case or a CI who can lead us to a big case.
What do you need the van for?
Surveillance.
CIs, or confidential informants, are the lifeblood of any good law enforcement agency. Public posts on social media are one of the best ways to find CIs. Agents would never use coercion or take things out of context to try and persuade someone to become a confidential informant.
The new Taylor Swift single is absolute fire. I'm just seeing a lot of incendiary and violent language here.
Agents always need to be on their toes and ready to make snap decisions.
Is there anything I can do for you guys? Actually, David, there is something you can do for us.
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggies.
What?
Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger. McDonald's cheeseburger.
Burger King.
Burger King cheeseburger.
Flame broiled.
Chicken nugget.
Oh, baby, know you're gonna like it. I wanna be your beaver pilot. Said, honey, know you're gonna like it. I wanna be.
Awesome, right?
Is this a loner?
This thing's totally legit.
What is this? It's got windows!
And go.
I mean, seriously, how else are you supposed to see your target without windows?
You're right. I don't know. I think the windows make all the sense in the world. I think it's, also the best thing that your budget could afford.
Yep. And it was the one available.
Was the one available, yes. So, Michael, how are you today?
Oh, I'm okay. It's Friday and all. It's a lot of fun.
Friday is fun. I like Friday. Friday night is all right with me. Wait, isn't that Saturday night?
I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't read the lyrics on the album jacket.
Well, it was Saturday night, though, right?
I know. Yeah.
Who was that by?
It was Elton John, wasn't it?
No, Saturday night's all right with me is Elton John. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't speak British.
Saturday night's all right for fighting. Is that the name of the song?
Yes.
It is Elton John. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Saturday night's all right for fighting.
He's very diverse.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that was Elton John. Crazy. Fun times. Well, we talked last night about that ship. That ship made its way back home today.
Yeah.
From the SpaceX folks. This was the parachutes. You got 2 parachutes to slow it down. I mean, it's funny that we're still using parachutes,
Yeah,
right?
those are amazing.
What's this?
Right
the
now, those
North to
drogue
South orbit
chutes
ship?
are doing that initial slowdown.
Yeah,
and
this
it
was
looks
the
like we're getting
polar
views
orbit
here of
one.
main parachute deploy.
We see visual on 4 healthy mains.
4 healthy mains.
SpaceX Dragon, we see the same. 4 healthy mains.
Well,
And you
Isn't
can
that
see that the
crazy?
main parachutes have deployed. They are expanding. Once they're fully expanded, they are going to slow the vehicle down
Ooh, it's
all the way
smoking. You see
about
that?
16 miles per hour.
Obviously, it's hot when you come back in through the atmosphere.
Right in time
doesn't have
for
to be.
What's that?
It doesn't have to be. You just have to reduce the friction a lot.
splashing down
Yeah.
into the
Find a
Pacific
way to do
Ocean
that.
today.
Right now, Dragon
Yeah.
has saved all
Oh, that's a. Wonder what that's from. That's got to be from like a high altitude plane, I would think.
propulsion
Under a minute or so.
So I don't know. Here's the.
And this is such an incredible
I think that's before it had any parachutes. Okay, there we go. Here's the splashdown.
inside of that Dragon capsule are the 4 2 crew members about to splash down here in just a few seconds.
And
Oh, that's glass.
yeah, right. No waves.
Couldn't have picked a better day to do that.
Yep. And almost.
Yeah, it's hard
Almost.
to judge.
It
Hard to
really
judge
is.
that like that.
Yeah, from this angle. There it
Welcome
goes.
home from 2. We have confirmation of splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon has returned home with the From 2 crew.
Nice and.
Everybody's
Alright.
happy to be home.
Welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks.
So yeah, that's.
And they just get to sit there and hope everything works as advertised. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the buoyancy of the capsule and whatnot, and the chutes don't drag it under because from inside they can't do anything but watch.
Nope. No, they cannot. They would be riders on the storm, right?
You would think they'd have some sort of control to like cut the chute so it doesn't drag them under.
Yeah.
What's that, bud? Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, they're not. He's moving pretty good. I mean, they're
Yeah.
only in space for like a week or
Forever.
something. They weren't there for the last 8 months or whatever it
Mhm.
was from. But yeah, here's the folks all back
You can still
home.
stand up, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't need gurneys, any of them. So
Or exoskeletons or.
yeah, right. To walk around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those those things always look like they've been through a freaking battle when they come back.
Just an inferno.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. They look pretty rough when they come back. They look all nice. They look all nice when they go, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're all nice and pristine and white and pretty, and then they come back and they're all messed up.
And I will take that sort of return to Earth so much better than the Soyuz version
Oh yeah.
where they land in the Afghanistan desert
Oh god. Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
and you're trusting like retro rockets just before impact to throwing it back up into the air just a little bit till it land soft.
Right.
Yeah, first dude to test that. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a Soviet way of doing it. So imagine doing that in the 70s with 70s Soviet technology.
Oh my God.
No.
No, I don't think so.
So that's got to work, right? Yeah, comrade. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Won't matter much to you if it doesn't. Yes, it will.
Oh my goodness.
It'll be awarded Hero of the Soviet Union. I'd rather not.
Yeah. No, thank you. I'll just do my normal thing. That's okay. You
Yeah,
you
yes.
go
Can
on.
I go back to just being a MiG pilot? No. Ah, poor Yuri Gagarin.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was a sad study.
Oh yeah. What?
Well, he was the first man in space, right?
Yep.
Well, he was really the first man to come back from space. Because you're only first if you survive the trip.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
But then shortly thereafter, a few years later, he was killed as a test pilot in aviation mishap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they didn't kill him in space. They killed him here on Earth, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
And actually, it was his best friend, his partner or crew member, teammate, sort of, I guess, in cosmonaut school, got roasted alive coming back on what the cosmonauts knew was a doomed mission to start with. Just because it was under-equipped equipment. And they're like, whoever's riding in that thing's a death trap. And the poor Ivan that, had to go just went with his duty, but knowing in his heart he's not coming back through it.
Right.
And he was roasted alive. His wife ordered his funeral be open casket. So all the Politburo members and whatnot would have to look and see what they did to her husband.
Right. Yeah, I got you. But they didn't care. Dude, they didn't give a crap.
No, not at all.
Like you were talking about the Kat has watched that Chernobyl thing. I haven't, she kind of got me up to date on it, but I haven't watched it yet. But I mean, that's just I'm just following orders, and the people that were just had no business being in charge of freaking nuclear facilities were in charge of nuclear facilities.
Right.
Like,
and it started with just like a test or a drill.
Right.
In the middle of the night with the B crew.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And then they just tried, we're not even going to say anything until countries like Sweden and whatnot going, hey, we're detecting high amounts of radiation coming from you. Oh no. Talking about.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it just got to the point that they couldn't hide it anymore and finally acknowledged to the world what really the world already knew.
Right.
But I saw this one scene, and of course, we don't know if this actually happened, but as the helicopters are flying over the destroyed reactor plant, and one guy...
Your microphone is twisted. You need the red light, like right in your way. There you go.
He would say, we're not going to see anything from this angle. Fly over it. And then the one side is like, don't you dare fly over that.
Right.
You fly over that or I'll shoot you. It's like, you fly over that and tomorrow you're going to be begging for the bullet.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oh my God.
They, one of the things that really happened was these guys that were really just the Walking Dead. They had shovels like snow scoops, and they would just run along the edge and dump their scoopful of this radioactive debris back into the hole, then run back. And then another crew of shovel minders took their spot for the next load.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. And the majority of those guys probably didn't live out the week.
No, no, exactly. Crazy. So
like a million x-rays all at once.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, like like you're just getting inundated with freaking So you know how Washington State, you would think that's very eco-friendly, right?
Yeah. I
Like
think they're
they're-
probably just overrun with rules.
like they would encourage you to get a more fuel efficient car, right? Like that would be something that you would
Yeah.
think Washington State would be in favor of, right?
Yeah, with all those forests and whatnot, you'd figure they'd be environment friendly. You're right.
Yep. Well, let's see. Let's check in on Washington State.
The Washington House passed their version of a transportation budget this afternoon. As we previously told you last week, lawmakers are considering a wide variety of ways to close a $1 billion gap in funding.
Reporter Albert James has a closer look at one of the proposed fees that could hit you depending on how efficient your car is.
The transportation system, a good, well-conditioned transportation system, doesn't come for free.
House Transportation Chair Democrat Jake Five Tacoma says transportation project costs have gone up while revenue from gas taxes has gone down. Aside from an increase in the gas tax and other car-related fees, he's proposing a new highway use fee to bring in more revenue for transportation projects. The fee would be collected when a driver renews their registration and calculated using a formula based on a car's combined fuel economy rating, with more fuel-efficient cars paying a higher fee.
Did you catch that just now?
Who pays the higher fee?
More fuel efficient cars pay more fees
Because they found a way to skirt paying too much fuel or paying for too much fuel.
or not paying enough gas tax.
Right, because their car doesn't use that much gas.
Based on a car's combined fuel economy rating, with more fuel-efficient cars paying a higher fee.
The top range is maybe $75 to $100 if you get a very, very...
Look at this guy. Look at this. This is who Washington State has decided needs to be one of their freaking senators. This goofy looking
efficient vehicle. But if
who has said, thank you for buying a more fuel efficient car, to doing your part for the,
like we asked you to.
Yeah, like we asked you to.
And now we're going to tax you for it as a
now we're going
penalty.
to tax you. So if you don't want to pay higher taxes and higher fees, go get a gas guzzling SUV because it will be cheaper.
Yeah.
you're like at 27 miles per gallon, it's probably maybe $10-15.
Go get a 1993 Ford F-150.
Yep. Or a big old Blazer.
Yeah,
or something
Suburban,
like that. Big old V8.
Silverado. Yeah.
Yeah, V8.
Previous
I mean,
road usage charge proposal, which would have
Go back to
annually
muscle
charged
cars.
people based on how
Yeah,
much they drive.
totally.
He argues with gas tax revenues falling because of how efficient cars have become,
$5.29.
the highway use fee targets
Yeah.
those who get to fill up less often and therefore pay less to preserve roads.
It's basically a way to offset the loss.
Now, when you have a more fuel efficient car, don't you normally have a smaller car with less impact on the road as well?
Not always.
But for the most part, you're going to.
Well, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But with the engineers, the making the engines these days, you can make a fuel efficient V8.
Yeah,
you
true.
know.
Yeah.
A lot of your commercial trucks are just amazingly low emissions,
Right.
despite having a V12.
Yeah, no, true.
From our gas tax revenue, and from the very people that are benefiting from the efficiency, but not paying their fair share of.
Not paying their fair share, Michael.
Yeah, that's
there it is. There it is.
They're going to have a lot of trouble convincing people that this is the right way to do
Yeah,
this.
but that's they don't care. That they're going to pass it. The Senate.
Why can't they find more economical ways to
pass it.
repair the damn roads?
You mean why can't legislatures be better stewards of taxpayer money? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, you see, you don't have to be when it's not your money.
Correct.
The cost to maintain the transportation system.
The fee
Yep.
wouldn't apply to cars that get less than 25 miles per gallon and those that are electric or a plug-in hybrid. Instead, electric cars have their own registration and renewal fees that would now be increased by inflation.
It's very straightforward, very easy to do.
It's very straightforward, very easy to do. We're going to
So something that may be taken into consideration over time.
Republican ranking member Andrew Barkis previously said the highway use fee was a better alternative to a road usage charge. But while new revenue is needed, he argued any new fees or increased taxes would come at a bad time for affordability.
It's not just a gas tax. It's a highway user fee that's built in. There's weight fees. There's sales tax increases. It's about 10 different pieces of fees and taxation that are going to be imposed in order to make this budget work.
A committee vote for the highway use fee has not yet been scheduled.
I'm so glad I don't live in Washington State, dude.
Well, for a lot of reasons, but
For
yeah.
many, many, many reasons. Yes.
Just like they've set up their alcohol consumption laws that pretty much eliminates tailgating.
Right.
Yeah. What are you supposed to do?
I don't know.
Well, at least in Seattle, everyone takes the tram to get there. So their stadium doesn't have a parking lot anyway.
Right.
So I could see that, but I just imagine UW fans and whatnot. They tell college kids don't get to go drink before their football game. That doesn't even sound American.
It's not. It's just not. All right. So what? So I don't know. Have you heard anything about tariffs lately? You heard that term?
Yeah, it gets kind of thrown around a lot. A lot of different definitions of what they are and what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, so this chart right here, because everybody's freaking out that the stock market is the stock market's crashing. No, I just going to say that the stock market has not taken. We have not even the economy, just not just the stock market, but the economy overall has not actually suffered the consequences of all of the COVID spending that we did from 2020. We really haven't. Basically, the all of the money, the what was it? The Inflation Reduction Act and the Build Back Better plan and all of the money that we supposedly were spending on this infrastructure the last 4 years was actually just money to artificially inflate the market and keep it where it's at, right? It's what it is. I mean,
yeah.
the Telecom Act, where
I can stipulate,
basically said that we're going to sign up all these people for Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
but for fiber to their home, that actually didn't connect anybody to their home because there were 14 steps that you had to go through in order to get that funding. You saw that, right?
Yeah,
Did you see that thing with Jon Stewart and Ezra Klein, where it's like he started to go through the steps that you had to do?
Oh, and it was like just one step to get permission to go to the next step.
Yeah, exactly. And do a 5-year plan. And then the 5-year plan had to be approved. And then you had to do another plan a little bit later on in the next step. It's like, what the hell? But this kind of shows 2022. This is where the Dow Jones was, right? And then we've basically been on a climb ever since, but now we're supposed to panic because it's come back down a few thousand points.
Yeah.
So this immediate reaction to immediate things without thinking about the long-term thing just really drives me
And if
crazy.
you notice, there's nowhere on there that there's a straight line.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Every
how many
day's different from the next.
How many thousands of points was these drops right here, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh, but everything was all well and good those years.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
there were no problems. I mean, everything was as it should be. The adults were in charge.
Yep. And we showed you
sarcasm.
We showed you all the old clips of all the old Congress people and senators that were, they loved terrorists back in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So anyway, just don't panic.
I don't.
There's no reason to freaking panic right now.
I also don't trade stocks.
Well, yeah. I I was thinking about buying some more.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet.
Well, hey, wait till they're low.
Yeah, that's the thing. Wait till they're low. All right. So I had never actually, so I talked last night about this crazy nutcase woman. And I'm going to.
Not the vegan lady again.
No. No, Scary Jankowicz.
Yes, Scary Poppins.
Scary Poppins. So I never actually listened to this crazy nut.
Just her song?
Her voice is exactly how you would think it is. So this was her opening statement. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to run to front for a moment and then I'll be back and then we can talk about some of it.
Oh, so I got to listen to her.
Yeah, I've been listening to it too. I got my earpiece in, so I got to turn on my. Give me a moment to get it all set.
Is that Matt Taibbi next to her?
That is Matt Taibbi next to her, yes. Imagine that. Oh, and then there's some Matt Taibbi news, too. So, all right, let me get this.
Feds raid his house again?
I believe it's my
I'll be
patriotic
right
duty
back.
to do so because the premise of this hearing, the so-called censorship industrial complex, is a fiction that has not only had profound impacts on my life and safety, but on our national security.
That voice is
More
grating.
alarmingly, this fiction is itself suppressing speech and stymieing critical research that protects our country. I want to acknowledge the irony we're having this discussion as we witness an assault on the First Amendment we have not seen in decades. The Trump administration has directed far more egregious violations of our Constitution than the imagined actions of the Biden administration on which this hearing is premised. Each one is chilling, but as a Fulbright alumna, the recent arrest of Rumesia Ozturk, a Fulbright PhD student at Tufts University, especially disturbed me. The Secretary of State seemingly revoked Ms. Ozturk's visa for publishing an op-ed in Tufts campus newspaper. For using her constitutionally protected right to free speech, she was spirited away by plainclothes ICE officers in broad daylight. This is what I'm used to observing in authoritarian countries that I study. And if this had happened in a country in this subcommittee's portfolio, I think you'd issue a statement of concern. But it happened here. So yes, we do need some First Amendment protections at the State Department, but not for imagined transgressions of previous administrations. We need those protections from this administration today. In pursuing investigations and hearings on the censorship lie, Congress has punted its responsibility on national security, opting instead for political theatrics that are high on fantasy and low on facts. Congress used government resources to attack disinformation researchers, deliberately misconstruing their work, burying them with requests for documents and depositions, and stoking the fires of public rage against them. These tactics echo the dark days of McCarthyism, but with a chilling 21st century twist. Even as America faces unprecedented threats in the information space, from our adversaries' increasing capabilities to the exponential growth of emerging technologies, committees, including this one, continue to waste valuable time and taxpayer dollars targeting American citizens who are doing work in the public interest. I know this intimately. In my written testimony, I explain in detail the lies that upended my life when my appointment to lead the DHS Disinformation Governance Board was announced. As demonstrated by both the board's founding documents and my 5-hour sworn testimony before your colleagues on the Judiciary Committee, the board's mission was to protect civil rights, civil liberties, privacy, and the First Amendment, the very subject of this hearing. Many continue to lie that the board was a censorship body because it's politically useful to them.
Okay, I gotta stop for a minute because that's just, oh my God. So everything she does is virtuous and right and good. And everything anybody else does is disinformation. You got that?
Yes.
I mean, that's what she's saying. Everything that they're doing is virtuous and true. And everything that any Republican has done is bad.
Right. Yeah. It's the worst thing for the world, America.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I've kind of gotten used to it. I mean, that's apparently the only way to co-govern these days.
I mean, she sounds so sanctimonious and like just. I can't even describe how much hubris. That's the word that comes to mind.
The way I picture it, I mean, let's just say that if the current administration were to actually come up with a cure for cancer, she would advocate for cancer.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, just the sanctimony that comes from this is just off the charts, man. I mean,
carcinoma has rights.
Yeah.
That lie was the first chapter in the tall tales about the so-called censorship industrial complex that have since emerged. They've been buoyed by the Twitter files, which falsely allege that Twitter executives were colluding with government to censor disfavored content.
They did. They proved that.
That's absolutely 100% proven fact.
Yeah, it's like that's what happened.
Yes. The government censored people through the executives at Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
Facebook as well.
Not undisputed. Yeah, no, exactly. And Google too, and YouTube and all that. I mean, come on, lady.
The Twitter files crafted almost endless fiction based on selectively edited email and text excerpts between researchers, platforms, and federal agencies.
They released the entire emails.
What were the federal agencies talking with Twitter about anyway?
Right. Selectively edited emails between well, it was actually fiction that the federal agencies actually got in with Twitter executives, but then they selectively edited the emails between Twitter executives and you know, federal agents. You can't have it both ways. She just said that.
So the emails happened, but they were misinformation?
Twitter executives were colluding with government to censor disfavored content. The Twitter files crafted almost endless fiction based on selectively edited email and text excerpts between researchers, platforms, and federal agencies.
Researchers. See, they're just lowly researchers, Michael. And they're researching the disinformation and the effects that disinformation has on the general public, because that's one of the worst things that you could possibly have happen is to have disinformation.
I wonder if that so-called journalist sitting next to her has anything to say in contradiction.
Riddled with errors and outright falsehoods. The allegation that researchers are somehow committing acts of censorship by conducting independent research and sharing it is outlandish and it's harmful. Research is speech, government funded or not.
So calling out the research, calling out the people that were colluding, calling out the people that wanted people censored on thing is not speech. That's disinformation. That needs to be ignored or censored or moderated, as you'll see here in a minute.
I think we're using the term sequestered.
The only reason the censorship lie has been perpetuated is because it's politically and financially beneficial to those who peddle it. Actions like this hearing are a dangerous distraction from the real threats we face. My organization, the American Sunlight Project, has identified plenty of foreign interference we could be talking about today, including a pro-Russia content aggregation network pushing out 3.6 million pieces of content a year, poisoning LLM-powered chatbots. China and Iran are also actively targeting the US as we sit here. But our capacity to respond to these threats has been eviscerated based on conspiracy theories, sending a signal to our adversaries that America is weak. Beijing, Tehran, and Moscow interpret these partisan attacks on counter-disinformation work as a sign that their interference is likely.
This lady is absolutely fucking crazy.
Yes.
She is fucking out of her goddamn gourd. Excuse my language.
It's you know, I used to, like, I guess you could say, struggle with, do they honestly really believe the crap they're saying? Yeah, or, you know, it's they got to know that they're just saying, or do they honestly believe that we believe what they're saying?
Right, exactly. Dude.
Because they got to know they're full of it and just spewing it out there ad nauseum. Right? Do they really believe that we're buying it?
I know, exactly.
Succeed.
It's almost over.
Yeah.
Our adversaries use information operations to undermine democratic values. We must act not only as the staunchest defender and guarantor of those values abroad, but fight just as hard to preserve them at home. Thank you.
Your values are terrible, though.
That chick is the worst. She is evil, dude. Stop. She is fucking evil.
Yeah, that's
so. Let's go ahead. This is a very decent counter to that. Give this a little listen.
Robbie,
a name our viewers might recall, is the former director of the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board, an entity that purported to advise the Biden administration on how best to counter online misinformation, but was shuttered after drawing the ire of conservatives and libertarians like myself. Like
they're
so
called
many
Americans.
other purported disinfo experts, Jankowicz's track record of identifying actual lies is decidedly mixed. She had dutifully joined the intelligence community and much of the mainstream media, for instance, in wrongly asserting that the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story was disinformation peddled by Russia. Now, she personally expressed the view that the straightforward explanation, Hunter Biden left his laptop at a repair shop, was a fairy tale. Oopsies. But like so many other former government intelligence officials who are fundamentally wrong about pivotal issues pertaining to their area of expertise, Jankowicz is fated to fall upward. She is now the president of the Sunlight Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting transparency.
Transparency, nonprofit organization, but she doesn't have to release who her donors are. So who do you think would just love to spend millions of dollars to have this American Sunlight Project, Michael?
Yeah.
Though the group does not disclose its source of funding. That intriguing policy, some would say execrable hypocrisy, was noted by Representative Michael Baumgardner during a fiery congressional subcommittee hearing on Tuesday. Jankowicz testified alongside one of her most ardent critics, my friend, the independent journalist Matt Taibbi, whose work exposing the federal government's efforts to compel social media companies to censor contrarian speech was a major driver of negative attention to projects like the Disinformation Governance Board. Taibbi's Twitter files, as well as similar projects like my own Facebook files, demonstrated that aggressive moderation of dissident opinions online was not a choice freely made by social media companies. It was forced on them by government agents who were themselves misinformed about the facts.
All right. So I do have Matt's. Let's see this because I want to see this because I have not seen this. So that was Nina's opening remarks. At the same table, here is
some
Matt's
so-called journalist.
opening remarks, his so-called journalist.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Ranking Member.
And I'm thinking that he probably, I don't know which order they went in. He might not have heard hers. He might have gone second. I don't know.
Thank you. My name is Matt Taibbi. I'm the editor of the independent site Racket, and I've been covering digital censorship issues since 2018, the fictional ones. On March 14th.
Okay. He went second. He went after her. You know how you heard that, right? You caught that thing, the fictional ones, right? That was beautiful.
2016, Barack Obama signed Executive Order 13721, developing a new integrated global engagement center to support government-wide counterterrorism communications activities directed abroad. It directed the Secretary of State to create a new body, the GEC or GEC, to, quote, counter the messaging and diminish the influence of international terrorist organizations, including ISIL, Al-Qaeda, and other violent extremists abroad. 7 years later, while working on a story involving internal communications at Twitter, I found myself reading emails between GEC officials and Twitter executives about subjects ranging from COVID-19 to the 2020 election to Donald Trump.
Those were the emails that never happened, the collusion between executives from Facebook and Twitter and all that to government agents that never happened, but actually did happen, but were taken out of context, right? That's the ones he's talking about. The ones that didn't happen, but if they did happen, they were taken out of context. Right? That's just so we're following.
Once, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, you were right to point out that they were once focused abroad, but by this time, GEC officials were largely concerned with domestic English language accounts, people with no ties to terror groups or relationships with adversary nations like Iran, China, or Russia. When I went back this weekend through those documents to find examples of GEC pressuring Twitter to remove or de-amplify Americans accused of misinformation, I found an exchange that we Twitter Files reporters missed in 2023. A lawyer at the company asked several other executives if they had any, quote, appetite for writing GEC a letter to ask them to stop going to the media with sensationalist claims about epidemics of foreign bots. One of the company's senior communications executives gave a remarkably candid answer. From my chair, it would be very helpful, he wrote. Referencing a well-known Washington reporter, he went on, the pre-briefed Ellen Nakashima article in the Post on Bernie and this coronavirus story, no heads up, are making me worry a little about how good faith these players will be through the press into 2020. So it wasn't just conservatives, it was also Bernie Sanders. The date on that email was February 24th, 2020. 3 days after the Washington Post ran a devastating feature titled Bernie Sanders briefed by US officials that Russia is trying to help his presidential campaign. This was an extremely impactful story that opened the floodgates on a conspiracy theory that Sanders was the recipient of Russian help. It claimed bots helping Bernie online were part of, quote, Russia's broader interest in sowing division in the United States and uncertainty about the validity of American elections. In response to this odd sequel of claims about Russian bots aiding Donald Trump, the company's head of trust and safety, Yoel Roth, gave an unflattering description of GEC's methods. Quote, they use Brandwatch to monitor a handful of openly Russian accounts, for instance, RT, and an unspecified number of accounts that they baselessly assert are inauthentic. This is the exact formula we previously found behind another often used online tool called Hamilton 68, whose founders were also quoted in the Post piece. Hamilton 68 mixed a smattering of real Russian accounts with a crowd of mostly American, mostly anti-establishment accounts to create a dashboard that synthesized falsely the appearance of Russian social media backing for everything from the Devin Nunes memo to the Parkland shooting. Although many of the most controversial stories about GEC involve their funding of commercial media scoring operations that downranked conservative news outlets, the GEC also pressured Twitter about left-leaning figures like Sanders, anti-war accounts, libertarians, and independents, as well as conservatives. They managed this by using a trick that gave domestic propaganda the appearance of a counterterror.
You know, BUM, the Bureau Undermining Misinformation, is not far off from what we actually had. We actually did have the agency that we portray in our show. It's not very far off from reality, which is the scary thing. It really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, sometimes we are just really living in bizarro world.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we are. It's so crazy right now.
Terrorist operation. GEC sent out reports that would first identify a few social media accounts with real ties to Russia or China or Iran. Then it would separately list accounts they called highly connective to that country's propaganda ecosystem. These would be American or European citizens with inconvenient views. For instance, GEC identified the Twitter accounts of former Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte and former Italian Democratic Party Secretary Nicola Zingaretti, who was often compared to Bernie, as being highly connective to Russia. All he had to do to get on the list was retweet what they called anti-US propaganda, or GEC's subjective definition of pro-Russian propaganda. No actual connection was required. Through this means, the GEC exactly rehabilitated the fellow traveler concept used by infamous smear artists and witch hunters from history, from Leon Trotsky to the House Un-American Affairs Committee. It was a way to accuse someone who hasn't done anything wrong of guilt by ideological association. And I'll just wrap up, gone over my time, but they weren't looking for misinformation and disinformation. They were looking for orthodoxy and unorthodoxy, obedience and disobedience. The idea behind GEC in particular was finding a way to propagandize American citizens and encourage acceptance of official policy the way we've always done to foreign populations. It's a flagrant violation of First Amendment ideals and should be eradicated from the government completely. No one should have this tool, not Democrats, not the Trump administration, nobody.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you.
So, yep. All right, let me get that off. So, what else? So we got this from that hearing as well. Miss Jankowicz saying that, you know, it's not that Republicans get censored, it's that they share more contents that likely to be moderated.
It's not that they get censored; we just monitor them that much.
But, you know, I think that this whole notion that we want to try to regulate the speech of people in our country and online social media companies. Did I understand your testimony correctly that you do believe that private businesses have a right to regulate the content on their platform?
Absolutely. We sign up to terms of service when we share our cat pictures or our kid pictures.
When we share our cat pictures. I mean, the vocal fry is what really gets me with her voice. You know what I mean? Listen to the crackling, right? The fry part of it.
Pictures or whatever it is that my co-witnesses share online, we sign up to those terms of service. And sometimes those terms of service say things like, you can't share terrorist content, you can't share child sexual abuse material. And if we decide it, you can't share what we deem disinformation also. And we being the social media platforms.
Also,
right, and they have a right to do that. But what's genesis this problem is that so many on the far right just made shit up in the electoral context, put stuff out there, and then the social media platform said, you know, we're not going to tolerate just blatant lies, blatant falsehoods on our platforms. There has to be some basis of reality.
Really?
And now the Republicans are pushing back because they got their hand in the cookie jar on that, right?
Well, the scientific research from universities like New York, Indiana University, and Yale all points to the fact that Republicans share more content that is more likely to be moderated. It's not that they're being censored, it is that they're breaking the rules that they can read if they read the fine print.
Right.
These people hate, they hate you. I mean, they do. They think they are the end all be all of who gets to decide what is true and what isn't.
And in their mind, two people cannot be correct. Two people cannot have opposing working ideas. You know,
Correct.
It's what they think is right and the only way to do it.
Yep.
And there's no other way. Every other way is wrong.
Yep. 100%. So, yeah, one more.
Jankowicz, your organization, the American Sunlight Project, claims to have a commitment to transparency and apparently does not extend to disclosing its donors. Has the American Sunlight Project received funding either directly or indirectly from the George Soros or his foundations, including the Open Society Foundation?
Thank you, Congressman. You know, I've received a lot of threats for speaking.
I've received threats. These people are mean to me, and I've forgiven.
Out. And so I've decided that we are going to abide by the rules that other 501c4s in our country abide by, and we are not required to disclose our donors, small or large, because I frankly don't want them to be threatened the way that I have been.
So sunlight for other people, but not for your donors.
If you're interested in more sunlight, I welcome you to introduce some legislation to overturn Citizens United, sir.
Citizens United. God, these people.
You're not getting info from me that easy. Subpoena me and make me testify and didn't ask me questions.
Yeah.
All of that. I'm asking you, what is the role of government in that matter?
Absolutely, Congressman. So the government is allowed to express its own opinions, its viewpoints, as we're seeing this.
Did you get that just now?
I got that.
Congressman. So the government is allowed to express its own opinions, its viewpoints, as we're seeing this administration do.
The government. The government has its own opinions that they can express. What the Dude, she is nuts. This lady is nuts. She should be nowhere. These people should be nowhere near any kind of power whatsoever. And the problem is that they're still all throughout the government.
As we saw the previous administration do.
What is their role when it is absolutely wrong? The Hunter laptop is probably the best example we could roll out here.
Here, listen to this.
I actually disagree with that, because when Twitter decided to add friction to the Hunter Biden laptop case, it actually got more views.
Yeah.
To add friction to the Hunter Biden laptop case, it actually got more views.
The Hunter Biden laptop case got more views because they censored everything about the Hunter Biden laptop case.
Yeah.
They if you posted anything about it, people got their accounts deleted for posting about it. But it got more views because, I mean,
the Barbara Streisand effect,
dude. I don't even like I can't write anything more outrageous than what she's talking. I mean, you can't. I mean, the revisionist history is just, it's freaking off the charts.
I'll bet she sleeps well.
Oh my God.
It's like she's just not even. Back to what I was saying earlier, I'll bet she really believes in her heart what she's saying is, the way it is.
Right. Yep. Which
is sad. It's disturbing, really.
Yeah. This was her before the election, just recently.
In general,
here.
the safeguards have fallen off when it comes to disinformation at the platforms, and in some cases in the research community. There's a lot of folks still doing this work, but it's become extremely risky. Trust and safety teams have been decimated, and the folks
they've been decimated
that are still there are doing
God
work, but it is like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Musk's purchase of X, of course, has made the platform a veritable fire hose of election disinformation, including, if you haven't looked at it yet, I encourage you to, the Election Integrity channel on X, which has tens of thousands of members and is just a deluge of rumor and conspiracy theory.
It just, it has to pass through the filters of jankajits there in order for it to be correct, because nobody else can be trusted with with information, because it's got to pass through people like her to make sure that it's suitable for you to take in
right after it.
I just
another dozens per hour. We also have Meta and YouTube, which have rolled back some of their labeling and content moderation efforts around disinformation because of the political environment and conspiracy theory.
She's not exactly. It don't even sound like words anymore. It's just freaking word salad at this point. I mean, oh my Lord. I have
no words.
I mean, unfreaking believable, dude. It's just unbelievable. What in the world are we? I mean, thankfully, we don't really have to I mean, yes, she's got her little sunshine project or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
But thankfully, she's nowhere near any kind of actual. She used to work at the State Department, dude. She was on a task force. I mean, she was actually one of the people that was making policy about.
That's okay. In 4 years, you're going to see her at DNC headquarters.
Yeah, right? I mean, holy crap.
Running for chairman. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So speaking of the DNC, do you know what they have decided to do?
Everything against their own best interest?
Well, yeah, but they have DNC, what is it? The cabinet, right? They have decided
that pencil neck shouldn't be a part of them anymore.
No.
Well, I thought they did.
Here we go. This is dork-ass Ken Martin, who is the DNC chairman.
Hey, it's Ken Martin. I want to tell you about the People's Cabinet that the DNC is launching today.
The People's Cabinet, Michael.
Yes.
The People's Cabinet.
Like the People's Democratic Republic of.
Since I started this job, and what I hear over and over is this: Americans want us to fight back against Trump's lies and offer a better alternative.
You've obviously learned.
Trump has stacked his cabinet with out-of-touch billionaires who are causing chaos and hurting working people. That's why we are launching the People's Cabinet. It will be made up of experts, leaders, and everyday Americans who will.
Those experts, man, they sure helped us during the 2020s, right? 2020 to 2024. I mean, everything those experts said were just gospel. Those experts were they were straight on it, man. They didn't tell us any kind of lies whatsoever. Right?
Right.
You can always trust experts, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Share reliable and accurate information that you can use to fight back. Stay tuned for more. Hey.
The People's Cabinet. So so we've got this dude standing out on the street with a bunch of traffic going by. This is their big announcement to announce the People's Cabinet, a counter cabinet to the President of the United States. This is his big announcement. There's no lighting. This looks like maybe an iPhone or some kind of just
there's no crowd
camera. There's no crowd. You're on a street corner. What is the?
There's obviously no budget for this.
I mean, wouldn't you think if you're going to announce something like the People's Cabinet, you'd maybe have a podium and a backdrop, and
maybe schedule a press conference,
or something? I mean, like, holy crap, dude!
Or maybe a flyer or a bulletin or some sort of web address.
You're right. It's launching today.
Hey, it's Ken Martin. I want to tell you about the People's Cabinet.
So how many people actually, thinking about it, how many people, he doesn't say this is Ken Martin, chairman of the DNC. He just says, hey, this is Ken Martin. How many people do you think actually know who Ken Martin is? Because I had no idea who Ken Martin is. I could, if I saw this guy, I could probably tell you now, but before I even looked this up, I couldn't tell you that this was Ken Martin, the chairman of the DNC. So
I bet you more people know Carmine Falcone.
Bet you they do.
Hey, it's Ken Martin. I want to tell you about the People's.
Not Ken Martin of the DNC, not Ken Martin, chairman of the DNC. Just, hey, I'm Ken Martin. I'm Ken Martin.
And what has he done to?
Right?
Like,
I'm Chuck Testa. Have you seen Chuck Testa? Oh my God.
Is that a real name?
Chuck Testa, dude. It's Chuck Testa.
What does he do?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just went down this road. So I bet you more people know who Chuck fucking Testa is than know who Ken Martin is.
Well, I'm not
and if
one of them.
You don't know who Chuck Testa is, let me tell you who Chuck Testa is.
He's a sportsman.
You probably thought this deer was alive, and this coyote was alive, and this pheasant
No.
was alive. No,
Actually, the last two
they're
don't.
not. They're dead. They've been taxidermized by Chuck Testa, Ojai Valley Taxidermy. I specialize in the most lifelike dead animals anywhere, period.
Look at that antelope driving a car.
No, it's just Chuck Testa.
Nope.
No, there's a bear in my bed.
Nope, Chuck Testa.
Hold on a second. There's a leopard feeding on an impala out on my deck.
Nope, it's just Chuck Testa with another realistic mount. Shipped to me from anywhere. Call Chuck Testa for the most lifelike dead animals around, period.
Did that rhino just order a drink?
Nope.
Chuck Testa does not taxidermize pets.
No, I was not familiar with Chuck Testa. But I could see getting to know the man.
I love Chuck Testa. Oh my God. My buddy Paul turned me on to that one time. He's like, Chuck, and then so the nope thing, we just nope, Chuck Testa. My God.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So it's much better, much better than this fucker. Ken. Nope, Chuck Testa. All right. So, so Matt Taibbi, during that, so did you know that there is actually a law that someone who is a sitting congressperson, all right, let me share this, cannot come, you can't sue them for defamation if they're in their official duties.
Right. So like Adam Schiff lying about something the president said.
Yep.
You can't call him out for that.
Right.
A
So
made-up conspiracy theory about
so this is the ranking member of that hearing the other day.
a part of the
right?
State Department that no longer exists to distract from the dumpster fire foreign policy this administration is pursuing and elevating a serial sexual harasser.
So she's claiming Matt Taibbi is a serial sexual harasser.
As their star witness in the process. Mr. Chair, I request unanimous consent to enter into the record 2 articles about the Republican witness Matt Taibbi. The first is a Chicago Reader article entitled 20 Years Ago in Moscow, Matt Taibbi was a misogynist a-hole and possibly worse, and a Washington Post article titled The 2 Expat Bros Who Terrorized Women Correspondents in Moscow.
Okay, so she basically
Russian
said
propaganda.
Yeah, so she basically said Matt Taibbi was a sexual harasser, right? So he filed a lawsuit against her, right?
And it had to be dismissed?
No.
Oh, wow.
It does not.
Well, that's nice.
And do you know why? Because she did this. Because she posted this. After this, Republicans gave Matt Taibbi time to defend himself. It's telling that he didn't. This is not in her official capacity as a sitting thing. So basically he can file the case supposedly because of the social media posts, not necessarily because of what she said at the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I don't know. We'll see. So, this was from yesterday. So we'll see. I mean,
yeah.
Like you have immunity when you speak in Congress. You don't have immunity when incorporate the same definition in an ex post. So this is going to be the case as, okay, so he said
that's going to be a tough argument that probably goes to appellate, whichever way is ruled at district level.
Right.
Like, whoever doesn't prevail is going to appeal it.
Yes. Yeah, no, this has the potential to be one of those cases that makes it all the way up to, and it kind of sets a precedent for, for the times that we're in, right? Because a lot of times cases, when you go back and look at them, they're similar, but they're not necessarily exactly like the circumstances that we might have in a digital age, which is completely different from time. So we'll see. And then I'm not sure about what those articles were even referenced, and I didn't research it that much. I don't.
Yeah, given the source, I'm just going to chop it up to Kremlin propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. It's because Matt is not on the reservation anymore, right? When he was writing for Rolling Stone and being a good boy,
yeah,
they wouldn't have done anything. But yeah, anyway,
man, they are. Once their party blacklists you, man, they are done with you.
Oh yeah, they're gonna take you down. So so we got another goofball here. This radical Portland leftist named Davis Lauren Nafshin, I can't even pronounce shit, was arrested on March 29th after allegedly trying to blind staff working inside a Portland Tesla showroom using a powerful green laser. So this dipshit showed up at a Tesla office and decided to flash a green laser in the eyes of people working there to blind them.
Well,
he works at a taxpayer-funded homeless support nonprofit, Do Good Multnomah.
Yeah, it didn't get warm today.
Do Good Multnomah is where he works. So do you think Do Good and Eric Schmidt, who is the United States Senator from Missouri, and surprise, he was working at a taxpayer-funded NGO. In 2023, his employer received over $16.3 million in government grants, including more than $3 million in federal tax dollars.
Man, you ever just late to the party? Why weren't we aware that the government was just throwing money at people?
Right? I know.
I could have made up something that said I was, on their side.
Exactly.
Especially if there wasn't going to be any oversight.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a he/him twink just wandering through life. Is a fish, a dead end fish head, of course. And he also decides to show up at a Tesla dealership with a powerful green laser to try and blind people.
That he got off wish.com.
Probably. Then we have a freaking pregnant Tesla owner in Vancouver was struck by a 2-pound rock thrown through her windshield, seriously injuring her because she was driving a Tesla.
Yeah. The party of tolerance, people. The party of tolerance.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And they call the right the fascists when they're doing pretty much the black shirt or the brown shirt campaign.
I mean, it's just come on, people, stop. Just stop. It's
for the death of the president and death of me and I don't know, probably death of others, that's the kind of thing that's not cool, at the risk of saying something outrageous, calling for murder is not cool.
Yeah, usually not.
Used to be a policy,
Yeah, usually you would think that not calling for the death of people or throwing rocks through their windows or,
total strangers.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Total strangers that you have no
not
idea
even someone
who
that
they
actually
are.
wronged you at all.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, and more on And the stupid, like you said, we're living in just in crazy fucking times, dude.
Hey, Kelly. So we're here in Teterboro, Costco on one side, a Walmart right behind me. We've been talking to a lot of people who in many cases are doing their weekly shopping. And the common refrain we've heard is that prices were already going up and they are worried they could go up even more and that the consumer is feeling very stressed.
We haven't even actually started the tariffs yet.
Heard from one woman who even said that the same basket of groceries that she regularly buys has now effectively doubled. Take a listen.
I feel like the prices are.
You couldn't find a blue-haired person to talk to?
Ridiculous now. It's to the point where it's going to be harder for people to shop because the prices are just insane. Literally, yes, because last week I like literally for the same amount of stuff that I bought, I literally paid like maybe $30-40, and now it's like $75 for like 3 bags of groceries. It's like completely insane.
Hey, Kelly. Take a listen.
I feel like the prices are ridiculous now. It's
ridiculous.
Yes.
The prices are ridiculous, Michael.
Yep.
Oh my God. Why? How? Why? Why? How?
Mm-mm.
Sam's Clubs don't do bags. Yeah, right? No, they give you boxes and all that.
Yeah.
Same with Costco. You get a box.
Yeah, I don't even.
You don't go to Costco, do you?
I go to Costco, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, well,
but you
Costco,
don't get bags.
I don't get boxes there either.
You just throw it in
throw
the
it back in the cart and throw it back in the car.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And then this one tonight. Oh yeah, Costco's the best. A judge has actually ordered a suspected MS-13 member to be returned to the United States from El Salvador.
If I remember right, they don't actually have to follow this judge's order because, yeah. How do I remember how this was worded? It was.
Well, basically because she's actually has no jurisdiction over the president
right.
of El Salvador.
That was basically that was well, that and the president's authority here has pretty much already been decided in this matter.
Right.
You know, like a couple hundred years ago.
So yeah, let's see. It says Carolyn Levitt has just responded. So let's see what we got here.
Now, an Obama-appointed federal judge has just ordered the Trump administration to make immediate arrangements to return one of the more than 200 alleged gang members who were deported to El Salvador last month. The judge says that Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation was illegal. Right now, an Obama.
Okay, that was. But yeah, we suggest the judge contact President. This is from the president's press secretary. We suggest the judge contact President Bukele because we are unaware of the judge having jurisdiction or authority over the country of El Salvador. Oh my gosh. I mean, dude,
yeah.
What the heck?
And not only that, of course, our courts have gone away from this, but the court really only has jurisdiction over the parties in front of it.
Correct.
This guy, this person isn't a party in front of the judge.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're just like the judicial system is. I mean, these district judges do not have the power that they're trying to take for themselves. I mean, it's just insane. Yeah.
Can we switch gears for a minute?
Yes, we can. What
Have
do
you
got?
noticed the mainstream media is now profiting off their like cover up of the Biden administration and all the things that was being done to cover up his inability to human?
Oh yeah, the books and stuff that they're writing and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, me and all the wise, learned people I associate with were pretty much saying everything we were seeing. And then they were telling us, don't believe your lying eyes over this.
Right.
But no, the president's out there doing cartwheels and, jumping jacks around me. And, I just,
right.
And like, no, I see some confused old man that I wouldn't let pick dessert.
Do you know it's still going on today? Just today.
What's that?
You brought up Joe Biden, and you talked about what legislation he obviously signed off on. I asked this question: what about people that look at the Democratic Party right now and said, this man was debilitating, and you have the Republicans leaning on the fact that you hid that from the American people, and they think that plays a role in things that are being held against you right now as a party. To that you say what?
Well, I don't even know why that's an issue. I talked, by the way, Joe Biden called me today. He sounded very compos mentis, got very argumentative, not argumentative with me, but very fired up when he was talking to me. I don't know, man.
Right.
I never saw it. And he would this man would literally call me up to discuss policy.
Do you think Joe Biden was calling Cory Booker to talk about policy?
Yeah, not that day or any other.
I've met no president like him.
The reason you brought up Joe.
So this is today. This happened today.
And they still can't even own it.
Correct.
Right.
Cory Booker has decided today that nope, I never saw Joe Biden's mental decline at all. I don't know what the hell you people are talking about.
Because, it's like his entire cabinet that would have been responsible for invoking the 25th Amendment pretty much failed in their duties, failed in their oath of office.
Right.
And should be held accountable for it. You know what I mean? It's just that they left some shadow government, let some shadow government run the place with just a decrepit old puppet, that they're pulling the strings on.
Right. No, dude, yeah, the auto pen stuff. We don't know exactly who was running things. That's the main thing. We don't know. We absolutely,
but we know
don't
it wasn't the one elected person.
No,
even ignoring the election malfeasance in 2020, the 15 million voters that haven't voted in any other election
never showed back up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess he deported all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And yes, Patty, good call.
It's just politicians they all drive me crazy. I don't like any of them. I'm sorry.
Never vote for an incumbent.
Like any of them. Throw all of them out. Start over. Let's just start over, please. Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Throw them all out and start over.
No more term limits. Term limit.
Yeah.
Singular, not plural.
And you know what's funny is we could have term limits without them even making it a law. If we just stuck to it. If people would just stick to it, we could have our own term limits. You realize that, people? And I know I'm not talking to a very big audience, but we could enforce term limits if we just did it. If society just decided we're going to enforce term limits.
If we could get the money to fund some national campaign to just get people to never vote for an incumbent.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No matter who, no matter what.
Yep, exactly. Vote them out.
everyone, no matter what the office is, 1 term.
Yep.
And
I mean, maybe two in the House. I mean, the House is only 2 years. I say give it 10-year limit. Like I said last night, give it 2 terms in the House. Then if you're lucky enough to get elected to the Senate, you get 1 term in the Senate. And then if you're lucky enough, because there's only 1 president every 4 years, if you're lucky enough to get elected for president, then you do your maybe 8 years of presidency. And that's the most you're ever going to have as a politician, and you go back home.
Yeah,
and that's still a long time.
I'm not sure I'd actually really think we would succeed in the nation with just a new chief executive every 4 years, just because of how long certain things take.
No. I would say you get your 2 terms as president.
Right.
So that's 8 years, then 6, so 14, and then so 18 years would be the very, very max that you could be in national office. 4 years as a House member, 6 years as a senator, so that's 10, and then 8 years as a presidency, that's 8. The most you could serve would be 18 years.
It's also troubling to say, why do we know the names of a congressperson from, like any other state? Just hear me out on this, because as representative government, they're elected by their area to go to Washington and vote for them in their area.
Right.
So I should not even be concerned at all what the congressperson from the San Francisco area, who that person is, or certainly what they have to say.
Right.
Because they're speaking for San Francisco. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, exactly.
It's like, why does the whole nation know who the hell Nancy Pelosi is? Why is it set up that way that, this person has more say or more pull than, someone from Blue Blocksboro, Idaho?
Right.
Because they're just speaking for their people, too.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, look at Alaska. We've had a Murkowski in there since 1981.
Yeah.
We've had a Murkowski in the Senate since 1981. Since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
We've had a Murkowski in the Senate.
I really am not a fan of the governor getting to assign acting senator.
Yeah, right.
I'm not really a fan of that policy either.
That was the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen.
But every state has that. It's like,
yep.
What's his name from Illinois got to just appoint someone to go hold an auction or whatever to replace Obama.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd think if especially the pull a senator has, I think that you should have an emergency election or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know that we can. I don't know that we can. I don't know that even in this next election that we'll be able to remove her. I don't. I seriously doubt it.
Yeah,
because of the ranked choice shit voting that we have now.
How did that survive the recall?
Because of her, because of how much money she has from these same, the dark money that was put into that whole election.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still only, it barely survived. And there was zero money for the no, whatever it was, the vote no on, the vote yes. The vote yes had no money whatsoever. The vote no, they spent millions of dollars. And because of that, they were able to pass it by like 200 votes, dude.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Crazy. I don't know.
They were also mystery middle of the night votes.
Yeah, no, it was winning. It was winning until all of a sudden it wasn't.
Till all those absentee ballots from overseas came in the mail.
Yeah, right. Dude, yeah, exactly. It was like last minute.
The Alaska Air National Guard forward deployed to Turkmenistan. All their ballots came in the mail.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think
that's a Friday.
It's a Friday. We're going to talk about the home show next weekend here in a few minutes. So, all right. Well, I think we'll leave you tonight with, since it's baseball season, a little baseball story. How's that sound? You like baseball or no?
Yeah, baseball's all right.
All right. Well, this is a little Greg Maddox story. It's a minute long. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Yay, Friday. Exactly. I will see you on Tuesday. We'll do some editing, have some fun. And
sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yep. Good night,
masturbation,
Michael.
crack, and Madonna. Yep.
Good night, Michael.
Yep. Good night.
Regular season, and we were winning like 8-0. It was easy game in the 8th inning. And he told me, don't throw anything inside on Bagwell. Call everything outside. And I said, okay. I think it was somebody out. And he wants to go inside. And I, okay, it's your game. So I went inside, called inside. Bagwell hit like 1,000-mile.
Oh, boy. Bagwell way back.
And I was mad. And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, they got a good team. We got a good team. We're going to play them in the playoff. He's going to wait for that pitch. 3 months later, we're in the playoff, bases loaded in the 7th. We threw 3 straight changes and struck him out. And I was walking to the dugout. He goes, hey. And I look at him. He said, you remember 3 months ago, 2 months ago? And I said, no, I don't. He was looking for that pitch, the homer that he hit. And I was like, this guy